on the grounds of ethnic origin and/or religion. Explaining their ruling, the tribunal noted that such offences were very serious and would not be tolerated. However, it gave the player credit for his admissions and the fact that he has taken voluntary steps to seek help, to educate himself with regards to equality, inclusion and diversity, and has expressed intention to continue in that undertaking in the future. So it sounds like Ed Barber kind of got ahead of this himself and took appropriate steps to become more enlightened, which has helped his fine, which is substantial for a semi-professional player, £1,000, but it's helped a lot of that become suspended.
Yes, maybe he thought twice after pressing the tweet button, which is, perhaps I should have thought of that first. But anyway,
it doesn't include any kind of suspension, but I suppose that's because we don't know if and when there's going to be any games for him to be suspended from. So it does seem that. And because it's an off-field kind of fault as well that is delivered on here, it does seem like a heavier fine is a reasonable way to go, and hopefully he has learned the error of his ways, and other people take from this that the RFL are going to take it seriously.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, quite right too. So, here's a big one.
Yeah,
West Wales Raiders. Yeah, West Wales Raiders have completed the signing of former Man of Steel Rangi Chase for 2021. 34-year-old former England international halfback joins the League One club from Doncaster.
There's going to be some mad lock-ins down the Fox. That's all I can say.
There better not be, particularly with the Wales rules. You have to watch yourself. Make sure you're home by 10 p.m, everybody. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to ask you what you thought about it as a signing. What in line of in view of the Henson signing and some other kind of noises that they've been making in the transfer market.
I think it's good press that keeps delivering attention on them, which can only help with their possibility of bringing some sort of revenues in at a difficult time. But equally, as with the Henson story, I'd be surprised if he played a substantial part on the field.
Yeah, it's actually a more sensible signing in many ways than the Henson one.
Well, yeah, because
which is saying something.
And clearly he's moving down the rungs and stuff like that. I'm not sure that if I want to be making a club where we're going to be bringing through mostly young players, largely players who don't have a proven track record, whether someone as mercurial as Rangi Chase is the right kind of leader for that group. But having said that, everyone will want to play with Rangi Chase because of his status, of his, of the talent that he's got. So it could be a masterstroke. It could be a shocker. I haven't thought about it. This is the most I've thought about it now, so what I've said can be taken with a pinch of salt.
We'll wait and see when League One does start.
No, you asked me, so you've got to tell me what you think now.
What do I think? I think it's more money for all rope. I would much rather teams at this kind of level were focused around young players, particularly where they're in areas that are relatively unexposed to the game. So I'd rather they were focused on younger players, to be fair. So
younger local players.
Yeah, local players. Expanding the broader talent pool.
I suppose you've got to have the odd experienced man alongside that. So it'd be the argument to put forward.
We will see. We'll see.
Ottawa Aces have made their latest signing in the shape of prop Adam Lawton, the 6'7" forward, joins the club from League One rivals Newcastle Thunder.
Do you reckon every story about him has his height mentioned?
He is imposingly tall.
Yes. 6'7" will do that for you. Yeah. Barrow have announced the re-signing of Adam Ford on a one-year deal. We don't know how tall Adam is.
Anthony Boardman has agreed a new one-year deal with Hunslet.
Keighley forward Jack Arnold has penned a new contract for next year. The prop joined the Cougars ahead of the 2019 season from amateur club Upton.
And Barrow have announced the re-signing of Mark Tyson on a one-year deal.
So in another interesting piece of news from this week, so a fresh attempt to establish rugby league in the Southwest was launched over the weekend with confirmation of a rugby league academy at South Gloucestershire and Stroud College in September 2021 as the basis for two newly formed open age teams, the Bristol All Golds and the Golden Ferns. The teams will play out of their Stoke Gifford Stadium with the aim of bringing professional rugby league to Bristol. All Golds will retain their well-established teams in Gloucester and grow their schools and community club rugby league development work.
So, 3 years down the line, we hear something about the Bristol team.
Yes. Long overdue, frankly.
Yeah, massively. I want to look at it positively, that this is people taking a step, and what you just talked about focusing on local young kind of talent and creating a pathway. This does that, and it kind of widens out the All Golds reach of that pathway. Making sure they get that they can generate their own resources to fulfill this before any sort of push, any premature push to be back in the League One kind of level for me is important. Though I wouldn't want them to be rushed into League One and just kind of in a way be another West Wales, in that they lose all the games and don't really belong at that level at that time. So I hope it's got some long-term support and long-term strategy is my personal view on it, before it starts kind of taking resources out of the semi-pro game, just with the expectation that it'll be like the former sides that have gone, the Oxford and the Gloucestershire side that I suppose effectively they're looking to replace in the Championship level, League One level.
Yeah, obviously the difficulty always is who's going to be competition for them in the area, and that always appears to be the challenge, where you apparently dropping a kind of a team into an area, isn't it?
Which is kind of why I want them to build up that through that sort of education base that they're looking at, but hopefully it can really be like grassroots there, and you'll get people coming into the area as students and people already there wanting to be involved in this sport. Bristol's a great city. I think we underplay how good a city Bristol is, and actually how it's a great city, but doesn't have really any top level sporting presence, really. So I know there's a county championship side that plays out of there, isn't there? And they've been relatively successful from time to time. They get the odd international game there. There's championship football teams, a decent level women's football team, that sort of stuff. But it's a city that if you could get a successful team in place there, you could get the city come on board with supporting that if they can be successful. But that's 10 years in the future, and it's about someone having the commitment and the drive to see them through all the stages to start to become that. Well, in fact, it's 20 years in the future, 30 years in the future, but it's 10 years in the future for me that there should be a semi-pro presence.
I think that's probably true. But there has to be some learning about what's happened before, and we shouldn't be making the same mistakes twice, if you like, about what didn't work elsewhere and what can they learn from it.
I agree. Salford have announced a partnership with Wales Rugby League to provide a pathway to Super League for young players. The Wales Rugby League National Development Academy will run in partnership with the Red Devils as the only RFL-accredited development academy in Wales, and look to add to the 147 Welsh players that have played for Salford since 1896, since the start of the sport. Well,
that's quite a start. Yeah.
Oh, well, you look at the side now, and there's the coach is a former Wales player. There's Dudson, Williams, Keir, of course.
Yeah,
he's Welsh captain, isn't he? So
yeah,
there's there's people around there.
Clear links there.
Yeah. What do you think?
I have no issue with it particularly. Anything that drives player pathways is no bad thing. I guess this potentially picks up players who may, because we've talked in recent weeks about links with certain colleges that West Wales have got, and so as long as there's not duplication going on, I have no problem with it. As long as there's clear links, and clear, and as you say, clear pathways that are not in competition with each other, I have no problem with it whatsoever.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, competition, it needs to not be a competing thing and competing for sort of to be the pathway sort of thing. They need to work together and kind of feed into each other what the Wales Rugby League are doing and what this Salford Academy is doing. What I think Wigan tried something similar a number of years ago in Wales, and it obviously hasn't borne a great deal of fruit. Because I can't think of any Welsh players who came through that system to be in the Wigan side. There were Welsh players that came through into the Wigan side before that, the likes of Rodri Lloyd, but not since that sort of partnership was established and then disappeared about 4 or 5 years ago. And then also, like, Salford's resources, why are they being put into Wales and not into Salford? Seems strange.
Yes, because the ideal scenario would be if North Wales and West Wales could almost be the hubs in Wales for those kind of at that level. Because certainly initially that's the kind of level that the players would be. You'd expect to break through at.
Well, or that there's a Super League accredited academy that's there. That's not linked to any Super League clubs, so it's almost like a regional development academy. And then you tie in with West Wales, North Wales, with all of the schools programs and that sort of stuff to
possibly
kind of like feed players through the system. But all the while, your coaches go to meetings with Super League academy coaches from the clubs that do continue to produce players like Wigan, Hull, Leeds, St Helens, etc., to kind of share who's who talent. You're going to have academy international stuff that goes on there, and then that gives a way of giving those players a chance at 17, 18 to be moving into Super League academies. But every credit to Salford to try and go out there and create some sort of academy. I think you've got to give them praise for that. It just seems strange to me that they're not doing more around their hometown, which to me feels more of a way to build up support. And there's clubs that have got decent 5-figure attendances that don't need to get more people through their gates from their own area. Salford aren't one of those. Surely the more local people that are playing the sport and looking at the sport and seeing the team and that sort of thing is a better way for them to boost revenues and generate interest alongside increasing the player pool. But it's hard to be critical at the same time of something that's going to help expand the geographical kind of spread of quality level coaching.
Yeah, I suppose the key question is, where do you place regional development responsibility with? And I would place it as a central responsibility with the RFL, and therefore the regional development offer needs to be not cut back, and it needs to be stronger, and the clubs need to work in their own localities primarily.
I mean, we don't know that it's Salford that went looking for this, and it's not that it was Wales Rugby League that went looking for this, and Salford with their links to Welsh players. I mean, so you look at Salford's list of legends, and you got like Risman and Watkins and people like that, and so there's clear Welsh strength there. So maybe I hope it works out well. I hope it's a long-term thing that does bear fruit.
Yes. So grants of up to £3,000 are being made available to help rugby league community clubs return to play. As clubs continue to experience considerable challenges during the COVID pandemic, the RFL has been awarded £150,000 of National Lottery funding from Sport England to support them. The cash will help community clubs particularly those in rugby league's most deprived communities, continue the process of